Google Cloud introduced some great innovations in BigQuery Editions, autoscaling, and compressed storage, and this gives you the opportunity to save money. So today, we've invited the SVP of Data, AI, and Analytics at Searce, Patrick. He works with thousands of organizations across the world, and he helps them not just think about the technology, but also think about the people aspect of these innovations, how to use design thinking, how to use frameworks to maximize these innovations. We're also going to talk about how these innovations relate to Gen AI use cases. So let's get right into it, Patrick. How do you tell your customers to think about these innovations?
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. Happy to be here. Autoscaling is a technical feature that allows you to not to have to worry about how much storage, how much networking, how much compute you require, and to tune them by hand, which would, of course, require you to have staff with expert knowledge on hand to do that, and to do that regularly as your data set grows. So autoscaling, in my terminology, is the don't worry about it feature, in the sense that you now no longer have to be concerned with all of those questions and no longer need to have the staff to carry out.
So autoscaling, of course, is a foundational feature of these editions, which you can choose depending on your workload. So you get predictability, and you get also the best of capacity management. And there's also compressed storage that companies can take advantage of. So how do you think about the benefits of compressed storage for your workloads?
Well, compressed storage means, of course, that your data is compressed, which makes it smaller, smaller on disk, as well as smaller when you move it from place to place, and that will lower the consumptive costs. Smaller data is faster to retrieve, so it will reduce the latency time. Smaller data is faster to compute on, so when you take your data from the storage and pass it through the computational elements, it will require less time, which will also reduce your cost. Included in the compression is encryption, which will add a layer of security so that other people can't access whatever is in your data. That's a really great feature, gives lots of peace of mind to our customers. And so it ticks all the boxes for performance measure and cost decreasing that everybody's looking for.
Now, typically when people think about compressed storage, they think about it as a workload for data warehousing. But what I think you are running into is also AI use cases. So how does this relate to benefits for Gen AI as well?
Yeah, of course, data warehousing and AI are intimately related because AI requires the data warehouse to feed it. So, of course, we know that BigQuery deals very well with semi-structured data, unstructured data, which is the basis for most of the AI systems that we have today, including generative AI. So as we take the data from the storage system to the computational elements to train the AI, or the data to inference on, we can move that data in the compressed fashion, which means it's a smaller piece of data. Therefore, it consumes less resources on the computational element, whether it's the CPU or the TPU, and therefore it requires less time. It reduces your consumption costs, but it also gets done faster, which for training workloads, of course, is significant. So if you have generative AI training times that might require a month or two, you can cut a few weeks off that with compressed data. That's a serious go-to-market gain.
Now, when people think about this, you've talked about the breadth and the depth of these technology innovations. What do the savings look like for your customers? Are they small savings? Are they significant ones? Are they double digits, single digits? How do people experience the benefits of these innovations?
The savings are definitely significant. So with some customers, we've seen only single-digit increases. With most, we've seen double-digit increases in time saving, cost saving, latency saving, all these metrics. It depends, of course, for you on the baseline that you're starting from, but these savings are significant, and therefore it is well worth the effort that you have to put into actualizing this.
And now that you've kind of expanded how we think about savings, I can only imagine what it's going to do to people listening to us right now. So, of course, you've got a long-range experience in helping organizations do this. So we always ask people, what are the do's and don'ts? And you've got a don't here that I think is probably helpful to a lot of CIOs and data leaders listening to us.
The don't is that from a professional services point of view, the customer never needs what the customer wants. which of course is slightly facetious here. But typically speaking, when we initially go into an engagement, the customer says, I want you to do this for me, like move a database from Microsoft SQL system to BigQuery. Okay, fine, we can do that. That's not a problem. And if we stop the conversation there, we would get the workload done. You would receive your BigQuery data warehouse, and you would subsequently not be happy with it. Why? Because the problem that you have is bigger than that. Your data comes from somewhere. Your data is having to be kept up to date by some mechanism. The data in that data warehouse is not there forever and doesn't do anything. It yields stuff. It yields reports and dashboards and analytics. It informs decision makers to do things. And therefore, just migrate my database. That isn't what you need. It may be an aspect or a part of what you need, but what you need is much bigger than that. You need a redesign of pipelines that feed that database. You need a redesign of the pipelines that make something out of that database. And it all has to be kept up to date. What helps with that is to think about the bigger picture, think what you want to accomplish, and with that, design what you actually need.
It's the adage of don't miss the opportunity of a good modernization, right? And so don't just try to redo exactly what you did before here. These changes are really going to create the opportunity for many customers here to maybe rethink about their design and maybe even optimize as they get into the new world. So Patrick, thank you so much for the time today. I think a lot of people reach out to you to help them not just understand the technology, but how they incorporate this technology in a new world for them. We'll put the link of your company down here so they can find you. Thanks for your time. Until next time, I'm Bruno Aziza.